You want revenge? Good. That means they did something worth remembering, something worth bleeding for, something that flipped your world upside down and made you question why you ever trusted, why you ever smiled, why you ever played nice in the first place. That fire burning in your chest right now, don't let them put it out. That's your power. That's your proof. Proof that you still feel. Proof that their betrayal didn't kill you. No, it forged something stronger. You see, people love to throw stones at the ones who helped build their homes. They'll spit on your name the second you turn your back. But what they never expect is the silence that follows after they break you. That's where your revenge starts. In silence, in stillness, in the cold. Because revenge ain't about chaos. It's about control. It's about building yourself into a weapon so sharp that just your presence cuts through their fake little piece. You want to hurt them? Then vanish. Fix your soul in the dark. Let your silence echo louder than your screams ever did. Let them feel your absence like a knife in the spine. The world remembers power, not tears. They made you feel replaceable, didn't they? Like all you did never mattered. Like your loyalty was just a tool in their little hands. I know. I've seen it. People love to feed off the kind until the kind have nothing left but bones. They didn't want your love. They wanted your usefulness. They wanted someone to pick up their shattered pieces while they kept dropping you like glass. But you're not glass anymore. You're steel now. Burn-shaped, sharpened. And the best revenge? It's not yelling. It's not begging. It's not even proving them wrong with some weak little comeback. No, the best revenge is evolution. Quiet, consistent, ruthless. The kind where you don't even say a word, but they feel it. They see you walking with your head high, your name feared, your path unshaken, and they choke on the silence they left you in. That's when they regret. Not when you talk, not when you cry, but when you show them what they lost without giving them a single chance to touch it again. I know what you're thinking, but I gave everything. I was loyal, I was kind, I loved. Yeah, you were, and they weren't. That's the truth. That's the infection you need to cut out. You gave them gold. They handed you dust. You showed up every day when they barely even checked if you were breathing. And now, you're supposed to just move on, right? Let it go. Be the bigger person. No, be the real person. Be the person who remembers. Who uses that memory like fuel. Because pain, it's not the enemy. It's the instructor. It teaches you who you are, what you need, and what you'll never tolerate again. You take that pain and you build walls out of it. Foundations. Empires. You build a version of yourself that even you don't recognize anymore. And when they see it, they won't even be able to look you in the eye, because the version of you that begged, dead, the version that forgave too much, buried. What's left now is a ghost with a purpose, a storm with memory, a soul that learned how to burn without being seen. They never see it coming, do they? That transformation, that cold, ruthless silence after the storm. See? The loud ones, the ones who scream for revenge right away, they burn out fast. They get distracted, get emotional, start fights that lead nowhere. But not you. You're not emotional anymore. You're surgical. You've been hurt enough to stop bleeding for people who wouldn't blink if you disappeared. That's what makes your revenge different. It's not fueled by desperation. It's fueled by clarity. You finally see them for what they are. Not devils, not monsters, just pathetic, self-absorbed clowns pretending they had value in your life. And the moment you realize that, you strip them of their power. You take back every piece of yourself they fed off of. Every compliment you gave. Every sacrifice. Every late night conversation where you gave them parts of your soul they didn't deserve. You rip it all back and you rebuild in silence. That's when it gets real. That's when revenge becomes poetry. Not blood, not fire, just progress. Beautiful, calculated, unstoppable progress. And trust me, nothing haunts them more than seeing the one they thought they broke become everything they feared. You want to make them regret it? Then stop thinking like prey. Stop waking up hoping they'll feel guilty. Guilt? They don't feel it. People like them. They justify everything. They rewrite history in their minds to make themselves the hero. You're just a side character in their delusional little story. So burn their script, rewrite yours. Be the villain, if that's what it takes. Because at least villains get remembered. At least villains choose their own fate. You spent too long trying to prove you were good, loyal, kind. Now prove you're unbreakable. Prove that what they did wasn't the end of your story. It was just the beginning of their consequence. And here's the trick. Don't chase revenge with rage. Chase it with results. Let the silence of your growth scream in every room they walk into. Let the people around them whisper about how much you've changed. Let their own friends start saying, "You really lost something valuable." That's how you destroy them, without ever raising your voice, without ever lowering your crown. Let's be honest. Part of you still wants them to apologize, right? Still wants them to admit they were wrong, but they won't. Because admitting the truth means facing the fact that they killed something beautiful. And most people, they're not strong enough to carry that truth. So they pretend. They paint over it. They say things like, "It just didn't work," or "We grew apart." Number? They left. They lied. They disrespected. They used you like a pit stop for their ego. And now you're the one left standing in the ashes, trying to make sense of it all. But here's the Joker truth. They didn't ruin you. They revealed you. They exposed the part of you that's been sleeping. The version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't break, and doesn't forget. The version that turns heartbreak into hunger. the one that smiles at pain, shakes hands with solitude, and sharpens himself in the dark. That's who you are now, not a victim, a force, a reckoning they'll never see coming. And when you rise, and you will rise, don't you dare look back. Don't text. Don't call. Don't give them closure. That's not your job. Let them sit with the weight of their actions. Let them replay the moments they betrayed you while you build something so powerful they can't even say your name without choking on it. Your silence will echo longer than your presence ever did. Your absence will be the ghost that haunts their sleep. Because you didn't just walk away, you evolved. You didn't just leave, you ascended. And that's real revenge. Not a punch, not a scream, but a life so loud in its success, it silences every lie they told about you. You know what breaks them the most? It's not the pain they caused you. It's when they realize you didn't need them to become legendary. That's the part that crushes their fragile little egos. They always thought you'd stay broken, stay waiting, stay hoping. But the moment you stopped checking your phone, the moment your silence became permanent, that's when the fear kicked in. That's when they started asking around, started digging into your life like you were some unsolved mystery. Why did they change? Why are they not reaching out? Because you finally understood. They were never worthy. They were a test, not a reward. They were noise, not music. And now, they don't get to hear your melody. They don't get to watch you bloom into everything they feared you could become. You left them behind, and that's what revenge tastes like. Not blood, not fire, just distance, cold, merciless distance. You became untouchable. And that's the kind of punishment they never recover from. You were the real one, the steady one, the one who stayed when it got dark, who carried them when they were weak, who answered when they called. But what did they do? They gave you silence when you needed words. They gave you doubt when you needed belief. They gave you replacements when all you gave was loyalty. So now you give them what they gave you, indifference. Not hate. Hate still means you care. No, you give them nothing. Not even the courtesy of rage. Just a straight face, a full schedule, and a life they no longer fit in. Because you don't need revenge through words. You need revenge through peace, through progress, through a kind of silence so sharp it cuts through every lie they told themselves. You heal, but you don't forget. You forgive, but you don't return. You smile, but you never speak their name again. Because some names, they deserve to rot in your silence. Let them echo in the hollow walls of their own guilt. They thought they broke something eternal. They thought they could hurt you and walk away without cost. But karma isn't loud. It's patient. And you became karma in human form. Every grind you put in, Every silent step forward, every tear you used as fuel became a brick in the wall between you and the pain. And now, look at you, still standing, still breathing, still rising. That's not survival, that's domination. That's what revenge looks like from the top. Quiet, clean, powerful. And here's the part they'll never understand. The version of you that forgives doesn't exist anymore. You don't carry pity. You don't chase closure. You don't explain your peace. You just live better, harder, louder. And the louder you get without saying a word, the more they drown in the silence you left behind. That's your justice. Not in destroying them, but in building something so untouchable they can never reach it again. And don't get it twisted. Your pain was real. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that heavy feeling in your chest, like the world collapsed on your lungs, that was real. But what you did with it, that's what defines you. You didn't stay down. You didn't make your pain a home. You made it a battlefield. You sharpened your soul on the blade they stabbed you with. You didn't heal the way they wanted you to. You healed in ways they'll never understand. While they were laughing, you were learning. While they were lying, you were leveling up. And now you walk into rooms they never thought you'd enter. You wear strength like skin and silence like armor. And they just watch, regretful, resentful, drowning in their own choices. Because you turned revenge into a lifestyle. You didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't just move on, you leveled up. And that kind of glow, it blinds the ones who left you in the dark. You ever notice how they only come back when they feel you slipping away completely? When the light in your eyes they used to control no longer flickers for them. When the version of you they manipulated, the one that waited, begged, forgave, finally dies, suddenly they remember you. Not because they miss you. Number. They miss the control. They miss the convenience. They miss being the center of your universe while giving you the bare minimum in return. They miss the version of you that prioritized their happiness over your peace. But they don't get that version anymore. That version's gone. Buried. You didn't just walk away. You buried the weak version of you under the weight of their betrayal. And what rose from that grave? That's someone they're not prepared for. That's someone who doesn't play fair, doesn't explain himself, doesn't need validation. That's someone they don't recognize anymore. And the more you grow, the more foreign you become to them. That's what eats them alive. Not your anger, your absence. Not your rage, your reinvention. You see, people always think revenge is about doing to them what they did to you. No, that's amateur. Real revenge is becoming everything they said you couldn't. Real revenge is building a life that no longer includes their name, their voice, or their ghost. Real revenge is waking up every morning knowing they lost access to something real, something rare, something they'll never find again, no matter how many people they try to replace you with. Because it wasn't just about what you did for them, it was about how you made them feel safe, seen, loved. And they didn't just lose a person, they lost an experience, an energy, a presence that can't be replicated. And now they sit in rooms with people who talk like them, lie like them, leave like them, and still wonder why it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel the same because you were the standard. You were the exception. And they mistook you for a phase. That's the tragedy they live with now. And don't think they're happy. Don't let the pictures fool you. People know how to pose. They know how to post. But when the lights go out and the phone is silent, reality kicks in. Guilt is a quiet monster. Regret doesn't scream, it whispers, and it whispers loudest at night. When they replay every moment you stood by them, every time you swallowed your own pain just to keep the peace, every sacrifice, every effort, every moment they shrugged off like it didn't matter, that's when regret chokes them. And there's no cure for that. You don't get to unburn bridges. You don't get to reanimate loyalty. Once it's gone, it's gone. And the scariest part for them, knowing that someone else will get the version of you they never earned, that someone else will see what they were blind to, and that someone else won't be stupid enough to let it go. You've changed. And that's the part that scares them the most. Because now you're not desperate. You're not reachable. You're not the same person who would have dropped everything just to respond to their chaos. You're distant, reserved, cold. And people mistake that for bitterness. No, it's not bitterness. It's boundaries. You built a wall where there used to be a door. You put locks where there used to be welcome mats. And you didn't do it out of hate. You did it out of necessity, because they taught you something valuable. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves your softness, your time, your energy. And from now on, access to you, it costs. It costs effort. It costs honesty. It costs respect. And if they can't pay that price, they stay outside, in the cold, in the silence, right where they left you. You see, the thing about revenge, it's not about punishing them. Not really. It's about healing in such a savage way that they no longer have a seat at your table, not even a memory in your peace. That's the cruelest justice of all. Not screaming, not swinging, just thriving so loudly in silence that they choke on every breath trying to understand how the hell you got there without them. You want to win? Then make them irrelevant. Make them a name that doesn't spark a reaction, a face you don't even flinch at, a voice that no longer echoes in your chest. That's when you've won. Not when they cry, not when they text, not even when they apologize. You win when their presence is met with indifference, because that shows growth. That shows they never had control. It was borrowed power, and you just took it back, quietly, permanently, with no receipt and no return. They'll say you changed. Damn right you did. Pain does that. Betrayal forces it. You can't stay the same after someone steps on your soul like you were just another convenience. You evolve. You build skin so thick even your own tears can't get through. You start speaking less and watching more. You start moving in silence, like a storm that doesn't announce itself, but wrecks everything in its path, and they'll feel that storm. Oh, they'll feel it. Not in your words, but in your absence. In the way your name keeps coming up in conversations they're not part of. In the way their own circle starts admiring what you've become. In the way they hear about your success through people who used to laugh with them. That's the power of silent revenge. It echoes longer, louder, deeper, because you didn't waste energy fighting someone who already lost you. You use that energy to build something they'll never touch again. You remember those nights you couldn't sleep? The anxiety, the overthinking, the way your heart sank every time they pulled away just a little more? That was your breaking point, but you survived it. You survived every unanswered call, every dry message, every fake smile. You sat in the dark and learned how to see without light. You learned to breathe through the weight of betrayal. That makes you dangerous now, because once someone survives that kind of emotional suffocation, they don't need air from anyone anymore. You don't beg, you don't explain, you don't hope, you just move. Strategic, precise, cold. And when they try to come back, because they always do, you don't open the door. You don't even open the window. Let them knock. Let them scream. Let them beg. But never, ever let them back in. Not even for closure, because they had all the time in the world to act right, and they used it to test how far they could push you before you snapped. Well, congratulations. You snapped, but not into pieces. You snapped into focus. And now you don't talk about revenge. You become it in every move, every silence, every goal, every early morning when no one's watching, every late night you spend building instead of breaking, every moment you choose peace over pettiness. You are revenge now, not because you hurt them, but because you outgrew them. You leveled up in a way they can't explain or replicate. And the higher you rise, the smaller they become. Until they're just a speck in your rearview mirror, a lesson, a warning, a reminder of who never to become again. Because you know what happens to the ones who keep hurting good people? They end up surrounded by mirrors, reflecting every fake move, every lie, every mask. While you walk free, with scars, yes, but with dignity, with silence that cuts deeper than words, with peace that roars louder than war. That's the ultimate revenge. You didn't just let go, you let them destroy themselves. And here's the twisted part. They'll start to copy you. They'll mimic your growth, your confidence, your silence. Not because they've changed, but because they're desperate to catch up to the version of you they can no longer reach. They'll start posting about healing, about peace, about strength, pretending they found the same fire you were forced to create. But they didn't earn that fire. They didn't suffer in your silence. They didn't break the way you did. So their version is hollow, cosmetic, a disguise to hide the fact that they're still stuck in the same mess they chose over you. They're trying to dress like they've moved on, but inside, they're still haunted by the moment they realized they handed a diamond to someone who treats glass like treasure. That realization, it doesn't go away. It stays. It lingers. It plays in loops in the back of their mind, like a cruel lullaby. Every time someone disappoints them, they remember you. Every time they feel alone, they remember your presence. Every time they get played, they remember your loyalty. That's the revenge. They're now chasing what they already had and threw away. You don't need to say a word. You don't need to prove anything. The silence you walk in now speaks volumes. It's the kind of silence that makes people panic, that makes them question everything. Why aren't they reaching out? Why are they so calm? Do they hate me? Have they forgotten me? And here's the answer. No, you don't hate them. You just don't care anymore. You've grown past the point of needing revenge to feel whole. You are whole. Their actions broke the old you, yes, but only so the real you could be born. The version that doesn't accept half efforts. The version that walks away at the first sign of disrespect. The version that doesn't explain, doesn't repeat himself, and doesn't carry dead weight. And now that you've tasted that kind of strength, you'd never lower yourself to their level again. You'd rather walk alone with dignity than crawl with fake people just to feel needed. Because truth is, the old you, the one who tolerated the lies, the manipulation, the inconsistency, that version was dying a slow death. You kept calling it loyalty, but it was self-sacrifice. You thought you were being strong, but you were just slowly fading. And now that you've broken free, now that you've rebuilt yourself with pain as your blueprint and silence as your cement, they can't touch you. They can't even stand next to you without feeling the heat of what they lost. You became a furnace, forged by fire they lit, thinking it would burn you alive, but you didn't burn. You became the flame, and now they flinch every time someone mentions your name. Not because you did something to them, but because they did something they'll never forgive themselves for. And the irony? You're not even angry anymore. You don't need revenge in the way you once did. You don't want to hurt them. You want to outgrow them. And you did. Every day you chose silence over drama. Every time you picked growth over gossip. Every night you healed instead of hurting back. You were winning. And now you're so far ahead, they'd have to reincarnate just to meet the new you. That's the kind of revenge no one talks about. The quiet one, the spiritual one, the one where you become so focused, so stable, so untouchably disciplined that even your existence feels like a slap to their face. Not because you meant it that way, but because they know, deep down, they created the monster that no longer needs them to survive. And someday they'll try to reach you, maybe not directly, maybe not in a way that makes it obvious, but they'll find a way. A random text, a comment on a post, a mutual friend bringing your name up like it was just by accident. All desperate little signals from someone drowning in the silence you left behind. But you won't respond. You won't flinch. Not because you're cold, but because you finally tasted what it feels like to live without the weight of people who only love you when it's convenient. You won't answer because you become fluent in their language. Half-truths, empty promises, recycled emotions, and you're done translating. They don't get another shot. They don't get another explanation. That door they slammed behind them, it's sealed now. Not with hate, with self-respect. And that silence you carry, it's not avoidance, it's armor. You wear it to protect the man you've become. Because this version of you, he doesn't negotiate with ghosts. People like them always come back when they feel they've lost control. And the cruel twist is, by the time they come back, the version of you they thought they knew is already gone. You've changed. And not just on the surface. Your whole mentality shifted. The way you walk, the way you speak, the way you look people in the eye now. You carry yourself like someone who's done being used. Someone who's been burned and came out colder, calmer, smarter. You learn to read people. You learn that some smiles hide knives, that some I love yous are just distractions, and that some people only hold your hand to keep you from reaching higher. You got smarter. And that's what makes your revenge so lethal. Not just because you moved on, but because you elevated. You started investing in your peace like it was a fortune. You began treating your presence like currency. And now, only the worthy get access. That's how you win, by becoming so whole, so focused, that even your absence feels like punishment. And as you continue to build, you'll look back one day and feel nothing. No rage, no sadness, just clarity. That's when you'll know the wound is no longer a scar. It's a reminder, a mark that says, this is where I stopped being soft for people who were sharp. You'll remember how you poured your soul into someone who only took, only drained, only pretended. And instead of feeling pain, you'll feel gratitude. Because without their betrayal, you never would have unlocked this version of yourself. Without their lies, you never would have learned how to tell the truth to your own reflection. Without their exit, you never would have realized that the only closure you need is success. And that success, it tastes better when it's silent, when it's not posted, not shouted, not paraded, just lived, pure, unapologetic, ruthless in its consistency. That's the revenge story no one reads, but everyone feels. The one where you never look back, because everything you needed is ahead. And don't get it twisted. They know. They feel it. Every time your name slips out in conversation, it stings. Every time someone praises you, they flinch. Because deep down, they know they lost the kind of person people pray for. They lost someone who would have gone to war for them. Someone who showed up when no one else did. And they didn't just lose you, they let you go. Willingly, carelessly, arrogantly. And now, they sit with that silence, like it's a debt they'll never repay. They scroll, they stalk, they reminisce, but it's all too late. Because the old you might have taken them back. The healed you, he doesn't even hear them anymore. Because your revenge wasn't rage. It was transformation. And they'll spend the rest of their life learning that the price of betrayal is watching you become unforgettable. And here's the cruelest part, the part that makes your silence echo like thunder in their hollow little world. They know they can't replace you, not because they didn't try. Oh, they tried. They searched for your smile in strangers. They looked for your loyalty in liars. They hoped some other voice would calm their storms like yours did. But all they found were masks, cheap imitations of something rare. They got stuck in loops, chasing what they destroyed, pretending they're fine, posting fake peace, playing happy. But every night when the noise dies and the silence hits, it's your absence that wraps around their throat, because you weren't just another person. You were an experience. You were a mirror that showed them who they could have been if they weren't so busy being broken. And now that mirror's shattered, and all they've got left are sharp pieces they can't put back together. That's what haunts them, not the loss. The fact that it was their own hand that lit the match and torched the bridge. And don't let anybody tell you revenge is petty. No, what you're doing isn't petty, it's power. You didn't post, you didn't scream, you didn't start drama, you just cut them off and leveled up. That's strength. That's grace dipped in fire. That's you finally realizing your worth doesn't depend on how much pain you can survive for someone else's comfort. You're not a therapist. You're not a rehab. You're not a second chance. You're a man who bleeds for no one unless they've earned it. And from now on, that blood, that loyalty, that soul, it's expensive. It's earned. And people who play games don't even get to step on the same field as you. You changed the rules. You flipped the table. You turned pain into power and silence into your signature. That's what makes you dangerous now. Not your anger, but your peace. That peace, it's what scares them, because it means they can't reach you, can't shake you, can't control you anymore. You're done reacting. Now you just move, cold, clean, calculated. And maybe you still feel the ache sometimes, that ghost pain, the kind that creeps in when it's quiet and makes you miss who you thought they were. But even that pain has purpose. It's a reminder, not of what you lost, but of what you survived. You walked through hell and came out with fire in your lungs and steel in your spine. You stopped chasing love that came with conditions. You stopped explaining your worth to people who never deserved to sit at your table. That ache, it's fading every day, a little more, because revenge like this, quiet, steady, relentless, it heals you while it haunts them. And you don't even have to lift a finger. Just keep building. Keep evolving. Keep showing up for yourself like they never did. Every win you stack is a coffin nail in the version of them that thought they could play with you and walk away clean. Now they live in rewind, while you're on fast forward. You're not the same man. You've been forged in betrayal, sharpened by solitude and crowned by silence. You've stopped explaining, stopped waiting, stopped breaking. You learn to carry yourself like a weapon, and the next time someone tries to get close, they better come with something real or not come at all. Because this new you doesn't tolerate maybes, doesn't play with half-truths, doesn't dance with chaos in disguise. You're on a path now, a mission, and that mission is to make everything they thought would destroy you, regret ever existing. And the best part, you'll do it without saying a single word to them, because that's real revenge. Not fire, not fists, not fury, just becoming so untouchable, so undeniable that even God knows. You never needed to raise your voice to burn their world down. You know what's terrifying to them now? It's not that you're gone, it's that you stayed gone. They never expected that. They thought you'd break, beg, maybe even lash out. They counted on your emotions, on your softness, on the version of you that always gave one more chance, but you flipped the script. You disappeared, not in rage, but in purpose. You didn't fall apart, you fell forward, and now they see it, they feel it. Every breath you take in peace is a breath they lose in confusion. Why didn't he chase me? Why didn't he react? Because you evolved. You learned that chasing closure from the same people who caused the damage is like bleeding in front of wolves and hoping for mercy. You learned the hardest truth of all. Not everyone deserves access to your pain. Some people, you let them sit in their own silence. Let them wrestle with the mess they made without giving them a seat at the table of your recovery. That's what separates survivors from monsters. You chose healing. They chose games. And now they're losing at their own. They'll try to spin it, of course. Try to act like they let you go. like they're unbothered. But silence exposes everything. The loudest people often have the emptiest souls. That's why they post more than they process, smile more than they heal. But when it's quiet, when the crowd dies and the lights go out, it's your absence that crawls under their skin. It's your name that dances between their regrets. They remember every second you gave without asking for anything back. Every look in your eyes that said, "I got you," when no one else did. They remember the warmth they traded for cold hands. And now, they reach for that warmth in people who feel like shadows. Unsteady, temporary, hollow. But you're not a shadow. You're the flame they extinguished, thinking they'd never need it again. But nights get cold, and now they shiver in silence, realizing the only fire that truly warmed them was the one they put out. And don't think for a second that time will make them forget. Time doesn't heal guilt, it deepens it. It wraps around the soul like chains. The longer they go without your presence, the more they realize how much it held them up. Because here's the thing, real ones, they don't come often. They don't ask for much. Just honesty, consistency, effort. You gave all that and more. And they gambled it like it was replaceable. That's the kind of mistake that doesn't fade. It follows. Every failed connection, every empty relationship, every moment someone fails to understand them the way you did. It brings them back to you. But the version of you they return to, he's not home anymore. He's a fortress now, a quiet, unshakable monument to pain that didn't kill, but transformed. That's what you are now. Not broken, not bitter, just better. And in a world full of chaos and noise, better is terrifying.